Alright, so whenever you're fishing inshore species such as trout and redfish, maybe even flounder, you're going to want some necessary, there are some necessary lures that you're going to want in your tackle box. So you're going to want to have a topwater, you're going to want to have a shrimp, some jerk baits, soft plastics. You know, there's a variety of different baits that you could use for these really not very picky fish, but they're very hard to catch. So first, I'm just going to start off with the live target spook. It is in an overall design of a fish, but if you look very closely here, it has multiple fish, as they're like in a school. So it can be used as a mid-surface bait, as a popper, but that's not really its intention. It is known as a spook. What it does is, whenever you just twitch it even a little bit with the rod, it goes back and forth, and it shakes the full tail here. And it looks like a school of fish on top. It makes a whole bunch of commotion, and it drives the fish absolutely insane. It is a live target bait ball, GBW-100 by Live Target again. It's one of those that you're really going to want in your tackle box. Next up, I have a Bass Pro Shops Bass Tournament Series. As you will notice, I said bass. Just because it's a different species doesn't mean that the baits cannot be used for the same thing. Redfish love poppers. Okay, I've seen multiple videos where they just come up and just boom, just engulf it. So this is a tiger shad imitation popper. What you do is, as you crank the reel, you slowly jerk the rod. And it goes pop, it pops, dives under, and then comes back up. And then you do the same thing. It puts a lot of commotion. Again, it's like the spook. It makes a whole bunch of commotion in the water. And it's really one of those great baits for when the fish aren't, and for when the fish are being very stubborn. It has treble hooks, so you can get those short swipes. Remember, try not to pull hooks. Don't force them in. Next up is one of the most popular baits used by inshore anglers, and that is the shrimp. This is a deep diving crankbait. You can use this anywhere from 4 feet to 15 feet, okay? It's got a rattle in it. Here. It's got a rattle in it. It has a pink back and a lemon lime colored backside. It's clear throughout the middle, so has that good shrimp waggle. Next up, we have the jerkbait by Badgley. Super small. It really imitates those minnows. It's only about half an inch shorter than the live target bait ball, which is cracking really bad. This is a shallow diving jerkbait, so it really gets those fish to come up on top and really want to just smoke it. So next up, we have one of the most versatile baits in all of inshore fishing. This is the lead head. Okay? Now, either you can put this on a gulp porgy, or you can put this on a shrimp. Okay? Both are by Berkley, both are by Gulp. I've caught multiple fish on the shrimp imitations. It's got that fluttering tail, unlike this shrimp, obviously. You just nose hook it and then comes out the top side. Same thing here, you can use as a swim bait. That paddle tail really adds a lot of commotion in the water. There's one last look at it. It's got that Gulp juice. It says 400 times more scent dispersion than other soft plastic baits. Diffuse, and that's in French. So, next up, last but certainly not least, we have the shrimp rig, or sabiki rig. You can take multiple shrimps, you can take squid, you can take chunks of minnows, or alewives, and you can put them on this rig right here. You just attach a little bottom weight right here, maybe 3 ounces. It has this small little barrel swivel up here, where you can tie a bimini twist or any other knot that you would prefer. So before we get into the big stuff, you need to go get some of these bad boys. You might want to get 2 or 3 of these. These are called the Jishimhini black boxes. They come with an assortment of hooks. As you can see, they come with straight worm hooks. They come with barrel swivels, slides, stoppers, EWGs, and barrel and snaps. So you make sure that you really want to get those before every single excursion because they go quick. Alright, next up we have the spinning rod. This has a cork and bobber followed up by a barrel swivel, and then we have a 20-pound monofilament leader. This is a Z-Man shrimp. Okay, now what you probably noticed by now is that there is a second hook right here. Now what this hook is going to do, this hook is going to get those fish. I actually need to trim it down some. Get those fish. If they're just short striking it and you can feel it, it's supposed to sit right there, right on the tail. And what it does, it gets those fish that are just short striking it and it actually hooks them. And this is not your stronger hook. This is a light duty finesse hook. You can use this for wacky rigs, Nico rigs. You'll know what I'm talking about. This is a cork bobber with just a small little weight right there. Again, Z-Man shrimps. I got an MTV tackle box. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to how to preset a bait caster. Okay, so when you're casting a bait caster, there are 4 things that you need to know. Okay, first of all, your spool. Okay, it's a little bit of a backlash, yes I know. Okay, second of all, your casting brakes. Okay, this is going to control how far you can cast. Third of all, spool tension. Okay, that determines how far you can cast it without getting a backlashing. And fourth of all, you have your drag system. Okay, so whenever I'm fishing for redfish, I prefer a short and steady rod. So it has that extra backbone where you're able to set the hook on. You also want one for top water that is not a very strong tip. Whenever you're jigging, you're doing something else like that, you're going to want to have a very soft tip. So in that case, I'd recommend a Favorite Whitebird, sold by Favorite USA. So what I'm going to tie on here today is the live target spook. Okay. So you're just going to thread that. I'm going to show you also how to do this. So you're going to take it. You're going to get about 1.5 feet of line, and then you're going to go back through. You're going to want to hold it, and then it's going to look like that, okay? You're going to take it, and you're just going to tie a simple square knot. This is also known as the polymer knot, okay? So that looks like that. Have this extra space. You're going to make it wider. You come around the butt of the bait, or the lure, or the hook, or the weight, or whatever you're using. You're going to want to come around the back of it, and then spit on it, give it some lubrication, and then you cinch it straight forward, okay? And then you take your scissors. This is a Swiss Army knife. You just snip it right there, like that, okay? So, whenever you're setting up your bait caster, you're going to want to have your drag setting perfect so that you're not backlashing constantly or you're not getting a very far cast, okay? That can happen. So, as you can see, I have tied on this spook here. I'm reeling it all the way up to the top. Okay, now you're going to take this little casting system right here. You're just going to loosen it down. Okay, so right about there. That's where I'm going to. So you want to put your rod tip up. And you're going to give it a nice thing. Now I think I got it perfect that time. Because as you can see, I didn't backlash as it went down. Okay, now I'm going to crank it on up. Now I'm going to loosen it down a little bit more. See what happens. Okay, so I loosened it down a little bit more. As you can see, I backlash. So I'm just going to tighten it back up, proving that I have found the key. And now I'm going to get out of this backlash right here. Sometimes you only need to just pull the line out. I'll show you a different trick whenever you have a really bad one, and you'll know it too. So I'm just going to test it one more time. Alright, I got a little bit of a loop. Alright, that should be perfect. Still getting backflashes. They're not as bad though. That's it. Perfect. So, for your drag setting, you're going to want to have it just so you're able to winch down and you're able to pull it until you're really going to want to be able to pull it out. Because if you winch it down too much, that means that you're just going to break your reel. Okay? But if it's too loose, the fish is just going to run off with it. Now, it's not like a spinning reel where it has a lot of line capacity, so you're going to have to watch out for that. And second of all, if you are flipping or punching, so right now my brakes are set at a maximum. So if I were to cast this thing out, I'd probably only be able to get maybe a 20-yard cast. Also, see, it's different. It's not falling, and my thing is locked down here. See, watch. It won't fall. It's not falling. So I'm just going to reel it up, and I'm going to turn it all the way back down. Whenever you're setting your spool tension, you're going to want to have it, not there. You're going to want to have your casting brakes on the lowest possible setting so that you can adjust it from there. Okay? Actually, they're too stiff. There we go. Alright, so whenever you're casting, this is why treble hooks also suck, because they get around your line you have to go. Alright, so whenever you are casting your bait caster, I got a mini backflash there. It's all about trial and error, really. So whenever you're casting your bait caster and you want to get a really decent cast, you're going to grab it right here at the butt. You're going to lock down your spool. And then you're going to flip it out and you're going to use your wrist and you're just going to catapult it forward. Okay, it's all in this little motion right here, where you just go like that. And if you want to stop it, you just put your thumb back on the spool and it stops. Okay, but make sure your brakes are right, or else it's going to go, or else your spool will go flying out of commotion. Okay. So, if you want to get an overhand cast, this is where I know a lot of people go wrong. They bring it over their heads and then they plane out right here. You know what that does? That sends their line straight into the dirt. Also, if you release it too late, you're going to get a monstrous backlash as well. So I'm going to actually show you how to get out one of the worst backlashes. I'm going to turn my brakes all the way down here. Alright, that's pretty bad, okay? A line is coming off the spool, so all you're going to do is you're really just going to pull it out. Keep on pulling it out. This line, by the way, is 20-pound Trilene by Berkley. It's got super high memory. Alright, that didn't work. Okay, if you didn't. So you're just going to pull it all the way out, but if you have a really bad one, and you'll know it when you do, because it'll be all stiff and your line will have multiple loops in it. So all you're going to really want to do is just put your thumb on, pull it out until you reach a knot. Okay, if that knot will not come out, then you're going to want to grab the loop that's holding it down, pull that loop out, and sometimes it'll come out. Okay, but if it's really bad, you can't get it, just put your thumb on the spool and give it a couple good cranks, just like that, okay, so that you're barely getting the job done, so it's barely cranking. And you'll get that knot out 9 of 10 times, okay? So that's going to wrap this up. Remember, jerk baits, top waters. You're going to want to use your top waters in the morning. You're going to want to use your jerk baits more in the middle of the day whenever they go closer to shore, start feeding. You're going to want to use your shrimp on grass flats and just really flats in general. You could use the top water. Use the top water on a grass flat such as the lumps or over by Lanark because it will get those fish and make so much commotion. Early in the morning, remember, early in the morning, it's key to top water. It'll get those fish to come up out of those grass flats and they'll just smoke it. Okay, now whenever you're setting the hook on a top water, you are going to want to wait. Okay, just because the fish has struck it means that it could have swiped. And if you just set the hook whenever you see that, there's a good possibility you're going to miss the fish. Okay, and there's a good possibility that you're going to hook somebody else. So just wait for half a second until you see the fish go down. You can't see your lure, and then you want to take it. You want to crank. Put your hand on the reel like that. Crank down. And then you're gonna want to lean back, get in this position. You're gonna want to lean back, and then you're just gonna take it and you're gonna go whoop, and you're just gonna give it a hard hook set. Okay. Whenever you're using top water, you really want these treble hooks to go straight through their mouth so that they can't get out. So other than that, see you over the summer, and hope you have a good time. See ya.